Welcome, I'm your host, Last Rights. We got Shadow, we got Poison, we got Vulnerable, and we got Crit. If you're looking for a rogue build, this one's it. Okay, so this build we utilize the interaction between Cutthroat skills and Marksman skills, also a core skill. So, with this, our generator is going to be Invigorating Strike. It's going to generate additional against crowd controlled and injured. That's important, 30% more. Hitting an enemy while you're below 50% energy is going to make them vulnerable. Also important. That will tie into the interaction of energy production from rapid fire, which, when it hits a vulnerable enemy, gives you additional refund energy. You're going to have additional critical strike chance per arrow that subsequently hits the enemy. That's important for our rapid fire once you see some of our item interactions. So, starting off, basic attacks, getting extra attack speed is going to help Invigorating Strike generate our energy at a faster rate. Attacking enemies with the basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill. So this is going to help us generate energy and is going to also supplement the damage of our rapid fire. Critical strikes with core skills also will increase our attack speed. So thus when we're out of energy, we're going to go back in and rapidly regenerate energy and make them vulnerable because we're below 50% energy. You have a 10 to 20% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies. So while you're generating the additional 30%, you're going to also have an additional critical strike chance. Rapid fire has an additional chance to ricochet of 25%. So that is going to help us add ricochet to our rapid fire, our main attack in this build. Skills deal up to 10 to 20% increased damage based on your primary resource. So we are going to use this cycle to fill up our energy quickly with Invigorating Strike, and we will come at them with full energy when we start firing our rapid fire. The refund there, gain 15 energy per cast, is going to help keep that energy volume high as we fire it and use up our energy. Basic skills will also grant us damage reduction, so you don't have to fear getting close. That's very important. This next item, we are going to utilize the 100% lucky hit chance on Shadow Step in order to proc daze on vulnerable enemies. So our vulnerable enemies will be produced by hitting them when you're below 50% energy. Whenever you would be using this skill to begin with to generate energy is when you'll be making them vulnerable. Shadow Imbuement will also make them vulnerable for 2 seconds. So that is how we will proc this, by using Shadow Step after we imbue and after we've hit with Invigorating Strike. Your imbuement skills have 20 to 40% increased potency against those vulnerable enemies. So this Shadow Imbuement will maintain them being vulnerable as well as spread vulnerability amongst the other enemies when they explode. Evading through an enemy affected by your Shadow Imbuement grants stealth for 4 seconds. So this is just going to help hide you from being hit as well as heal you for 1 to 5% of your maximum life on kill. Shadow Step has an additional charge, so that will be a second attempt to proc our daze on these enemies, keeping them stun locked if possible. Very, very important. So, going through the rest of the tree, we've now covered Shadow Step and why. We have Dash for some mobility, and it gives us some critical strike chance. We want close damage reduction. That's important for when we go in with our Invigorating Strike. This is going to buff all of our weapon types, regardless of which you end up with. You don't know what items you're going to find. It might be a bow, it might be a crossbow. This is just going to benefit you in general. You deal increased damage to healthy and injured. So whenever they fall in between the middle is when this will not work, but you're going to hit hard enough to where That initial hit's going to hit hard and get them down to where they're injured and then finish them off. So this will almost always apply in combat. Additional damage to vulnerable. As we cycled through and saw, we make them vulnerable when we have low energy, and we make them vulnerable by using Shadow Imbuement. Shadow Imbuement is to do exactly that, to give us increased critical strike chance when they're injured. That ties back into this, as well as injured is going to produce additional regeneration off of them. So this is going to increase our critical strike chance against injured. So our poison is going to benefit from our critical strikes. So we want to stack critical strikes through the additional critical strike chance. And critical strikes increase our attack speed as well. Poison enemies deal less damage to us. That's going to make coming in close with Invigorating Strike. It's going to tie into these. It's going to make it so it's safer. So critical strike chance will be increased while we have them imbued. That's going to help proc this and make it so that we have even more stacked upon this enhancement on Shadow. It's tons of critical strike. And then if that's not enough critical strike, we have even more. Critical strikes with marksman skills grant you precision. You gain 4% increased critical strike damage per stack of precision up to 20%. This will guarantee you land a crit upon when you reach maximum precision. Your next skill is your marksman skill is guaranteed to crit. So this will hit with a guaranteed crit. Okay, first glyph is going to be Tracker. You deal 2% increased damage to poison targets. Poison damage effects have 33% increased duration if we get that additional. Your non-damage combo point bonuses are increased by 33% when you spend 3 combo points. So we are going to use Invigorating Strike to generate combo points. We are going to spend the points through Rapid Fire, which will increase the number of arrows from 6 to 8. That's going to make it so we have additional arrows. Typically, Rapid Fire is 5 arrows. This bonus will allow it to be 6, as well as this Paragon board will make it 8 with a 33% increase. So we get additional arrows on Rapid Fire. Very, very helpful, especially with such a high crit chance. Each subsequent arrow will deal additional crit chance. So, very, very effective. There you go, just so you can see. Up to 40% for the 8th arrow. That's why it says 8 when there's only 5. Basic skill damage. We use the mixture of marksman to cutthroat, so this is going to help Invigorating Strike really hit hard. We want that on this board because we want that damage early. For every 5 dexterity, your marksman skills deal an increased 2% damage, and while wielding a ranged weapon you take less damage. That's going to be important so that when we do get hit, when we're not in close, we're going to take less damage. We're going to deal increased poison damage again. Poisoning damage effects have a 10% chance to deal double the amount. So this could be really good against a boss, a world boss, a strong elite pack. It's going to focus them down really quickly. Again, we're picking up all of the good damage nodes on the board here. We're avoiding the potion. Same with this one, I believe. Yeah, potion bonuses. We're avoiding those. Imbued skill damage, very important. Then we come over here to Eldritch's Bounty. When you attack with an imbued skill, you gain 20% resistance. So it's going to give you shadow and poison, as well as 20% increased damage for that imbuement's element. So this is going to buff your imbuements that are already good even further. Damage to close enemies is going to be important, again, for our Invigorate and our Shadow Step. More armor. More damage to elites. We mainly want your marksman skills grant your next cutthroat skill 25% increased damage. And that ties into the back and forth that we use with this build. and that's going to buff the damages of our rapid fire as well. Exploit is going to be the final one, increase damage against vulnerable enemies, and the chance to produce vulnerable on an enemy every 20 seconds. So this will be another proc for our vulnerable. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the build. The link for the d4builds.gg is down in the description, as well as our Discord. Go ahead and feel free to join. Thanks for watching.